Well, let me put it to you that Mr. Callaghan doesn't work in an office like yours. How do you respond to that?
Mr. Callaghan is a prime minister. I'm the king of kings of a country which has 2,500 years of monarchy. But this cannot be also compared to Buckingham Palace. The price of Buckingham Palace is 100 times more than the price of this one.
I believe you have more than one palace around this country. So has the Queen, you might say.
In the old days, you, British, and others who had influence here, you could change the prime ministers as you wished. Are you sorry for that time that you have lost? Do you want the same thing? To manipulate our internal affairs? We won't let you.
Is it not the high price of oil, that noble petroleum the Shah likes to talk about, that is at the root of the world's economic chaos?
Not true. Because according to the same statistics, the price of oil has been responsible in the United States for 0.5% of your inflation, and in the countries of Europe for 2%. Japan, hardly a little more. That's all.
And the huge sums of money piling up with the oil producers?
Well, it's new to you. It's new. How could these strange people living, it's not our case, but living on sand have such money? It's maybe a little shock at the beginning, but you are going to get used to it.
Candidly, Your Majesty, is there no element, not of revenge, because that is not a noble impulse, but at least some element of satisfaction in seeing the giants of the West in some disarray?
Well, no, because their disarray is, I think, needs a restructure of their society.
The brown-eyed peoples are teaching the blue-eyed peoples something, is that?
Well, no, we are not teaching something. The blue-eyed people have to wake up.
Wake up to?
From the complacency for this torpor in which they put themselves by taking maybe too many sleeping pills.
How much pressure has there been from the United States to keep this oil rise down?
Oh, a lot.
What would they like to see, or what would they find acceptable?
Nothing. They would like to expect us not to rise the price of oil when they themselves increase the price of steel, for instance.
Would you think anything under 15% was a defeat?
For us?
Yes.
Well, defeat, anything under 40% is a defeat, because this is the depreciation of our purchasing power. So I'm not thinking in order of defeat. It's a kind of coexistence between us and you, who have the goods to deliver, and we have the money, but you have the edge in some cases, and we have the edge in some other cases.
Because the wealth that they have is only oil, and oil will be finished in 20 years. But the troubles will remain with us. Oh, this is completely nonsense that we try to establish an empire. To do what?
On this particular price increase that's coming, do you accept a need not to raise the price too high because of the damage it will do to a world that appears not to be getting out of recession as fast as it can hope?
Well, this is one consideration that we have for the world. When the opposite does not exist, because they are imposing on us tremendous inflation.
It's true that when we started to defend our interests, the price of commodities also rocketed up by several 100%. But this cannot continue. If you increase, we increase. If we increase, you increase. We have got to find some solution for this. But if you just say, no, the price of oil must come down because we have decided so, this is not possible.
The special jet from London brought the Chancellor and Mr. Walker direct to St. Moritz. But not for them the joys of winter sports, or the delights of the Cresta Run just up the mountain. The two ministers have come here to jet-set Switzerland to see the Shah of Persia about oil for Britain. The Shah's here for a month, and he consented to break his annual winter holiday to see them. His Majesty was out early this morning in the sun. Every day he leaves his villa early to spend the day skiing, and he often takes the wheel. Queen Farah goes with him most times. They've had the 4 children with them for 3 weeks, but they were packed off to school yesterday. The talks are taking place here in the Hotel Suvretta, one of the Shah's favourite haunts. The deal's reported to be worth well over £100 million and is designed to safeguard the better part of Britain's oil supplies for many years to come. In return, we'll be supplying the Iranians with raw material and know-how for the industrial base on which the Shah has so much set his heart. Mr. Barber is also believed to be wanting to persuade the Shah to reinvest some of his enormous oil profits in Britain itself, and so help us offset some of the enormous foreign exchange costs we're going to have to bear. It does seem a very odd place indeed in which to conduct the business of nations, but nowadays that's how things have got to be.
All the things that they call extravagant were, in matter of fact, part of our development program. Telecommunication system, it was planned. A road building, planned. Building of hotels, this is to promote tourism. We know how many countries in the world have developed from almost sheer poverty to be quite rich and affluent just by way of tourism.
I think that we can say very firmly and with absolute certainty that Iran will not only become an industrial nation, but in my assessment, in 12 years' time, enter what we say the era of the great civilization. The era of the great civilization, for those who are interested to know, means a kind of a welfare state where everybody, since he's born until he's dead, will enjoy every kind of social insurances.
If there was the daily criticism against our shortages, our weaknesses, and this and that, it's even encouraged. If the criticism is directed against the foundation of the state and to weakening of the state and serving the interests of a foreign country, obviously we are not going to allow that. Why should we? Those who have done it, what advantage have they got from that?
But freedom of opinion in any country and being able to criticize the existing organizations is a fundamental principle of democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And if Iran lays claim to democracy, then these principles should be honored.
Yes, within the limit of the law. But depends what kind of laws you have. Within the limit of existing laws, obviously. One of our laws is that communism is not allowed. It's banned, so you can't do it. There are not more than 3,300 political prisoners. And political prisoners, it happens to be that all of them are Marxists.
And what does that prove?
Marxism is outlawed in this country. It's illegal.
It's the nature of participation in government that is different here. And that's what people worry about, isn't it, an objective?
We are working in that direction. Maximum participation of all the people in every field, political as well as material. Our workers are getting shareholders. The shares of the factories will be distributed first to the workers, then to the farmers, then to the general public. Everywhere we are going to have councils, provincial councils, city councils, village councils, and all that. And now that you have this provocative question, I have got to answer it also in a very hard way. We don't make false promises in the elections, at least. What we say to our people is exactly what we can give them.
But can they change you if they want to?
Can they change any monarch if they want to?
It has happened so many times in my country.